This is my GooGle Wi-Fi system. This is the main router, and it's the only one that's physically connected with a network cable, as you can see. So this is coming off, let me show you my setup, into an edge router. Now the reason I have an edge router is for two reasons. One, when I was running, I have a Verizon Fios system, and when I was running my GooGle Wi-Fi network system with my physical connection, LAN connection, and my and the Wi-Fi system, I started to see some degradation in speed. My network is kind of large, the physical connection network. I probably have about 10 computers physically connected to a switch, plus my Apple TV and many other, anything that I could physically connect, I will physically connect for a better connection over Wi-Fi. But then I also have probably 30, 40 different wireless devices coming in and out of my network from friends, family, and my own items. So I was having an issue because all of a sudden the GooGle Wi-Fi started degrading in speed. I was going from, I'm paying for 200 up and down, so I average about 250 to 300 up and down. That's what they give me. And I was averaging 50, 25 up and down, and that was on the Wi-Fi and on the physical network. So I didn't know what was going on. So I was troubleshooting with the Fios Verizon rep, and which was an excellent gentleman, excellent technician. And he had me remove everything off my network and physically connect the computer just to that connection there on the Fios modem, which gave me an IP address. So you can run off just one computer off of this if you want. And this was working just fine, no issues whatsoever. So what I did was, I have an edge router. I had it for a long time. I did a video on it when I split my network for 2 ISPs, and it worked very well with the 2 ISPs. It sort of did load balancing. It was a constant speed. It was, what it did is that it took one, let's say I'm gonna name the ISP 1 and ISP 2. And I'm in New York City, in the Queens area, and those ISPs were, I had RCN and Verizon. So I had split the network, ISP 1, ISP 2, and what it did was, if I was if I requested the internet on one computer, and I was using ISP 1's connection to get to that website or that download, when computer 2 would connect or request a page or a download, it would go, instead of using ISP 1's connection, it would just go directly to ISP 2. So you got a constant flow of traffic of the same speed. It was awesome. It worked very well, but I didn't find it cost effective, and I canceled the second ISP and went back to 1. So I put the edge router to the side, and when this occurred with the GooGle Wi-Fi, I decided to split my network. So now I have my modem connection going there, which is that connection. It's labeled with the orange labeler, and that's my ISP. Then I have 2 separate LANs giving the same, one's giving one IP address, one's giving the other. My network itself is one LAN network, the 192 network, so that communication's easy. So communicating between the networks it works just fine. And I have my GooGle Wi-Fi is the yellow connection, and my physical connection to my 16-port switch is the blue connection. And then I went right back to normal. No issues, no hassles whatsoever. It's been over a week and a half, and everything's working fine. So I just wanted to tell you about that, and that's how I'm running this. So I was reading that, I do still have issues with the Wi-Fi mesh system not communicating, as I'm getting weak signals. I'm going to run the test before and after, and I'll record that, and you'll see that the signals between all my mesh, my Google Wi-Fi satellites, between the main unit and the rest of the satellites bunny hopping off each other, the Wi-Fi signal have been weak. Now, the reason for that is because the building I live in, this wall, behind this wall is not a normal sheetrock wall. It's a plaster wall with a metal mesh behind it. That metal mesh causes mayhem with the Wi-Fi system in this apartment. So I literally have 12 of these. I put them wherever there was issues in the apartment. So I ended up having it that way, and it's working just fine, but I find I want to get a better signal speed. So I was reading, can I do a backhaul? Can I make a connection, a physical connection to my satellites and to my network so that I get a better physical communication connection between the satellite and the main units, and that way I can improve my mesh. So I'm going to test that out. I'm going to connect several of them, and I'm going to run the test before and after, and you can see for yourself, and I'll see for myself if it improves anything. So, you know, and also, like, when I close certain doors, I'll drop the mesh connection. So hopefully this will improve that. So let me see what I can do, and right now I'm going to show you the test using the Google Wi-Fi app of the mesh system network, and you'll see weak and good. So hopefully when I do make the switch, it'll be all good. All right, wish me luck. Thank you. After running all the cables, which took me a few hours, probably like 3 or 4 hours, I'm in an apartment, so I have to tuck them underneath this rug. and some rugs, and I got it done. So out of the 12, yes, 12 total Google Wi-Fi's, one being the main and 11 satellites, I was able to connect in a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of the 12. Well, I should rephrase that. So what I did was I got 5 out of the 12 connected here, right? So this should give it a stronger signal communication-wise, since it's physically, they're kind of technically all physically wired together. This one, I physically connected this one to another Google Wi-Fi. So this one's on sort of like an opening where we have a bookcase. And right behind me, probably about 10 feet away, I have one of the Google satellites physically connected to that switch. So these should be communicating with each other and giving a good signal. So I physically connected this one. I can't connect this one to the switch. It's too far away and I'm not making any holes. To this one in room 1, so there's 2 Google Wi-Fi's connected to each other. What I'm hoping is that they can communicate between each other. This one's far away from another Google Wi-Fi. So I'm hoping that the one I just showed you, which is on the other side of this wall, which is 10 feet away, and there's no wall in between, and there's a clear line of sight about 10 feet away to another satellite that's physically connected to that switch. So hopefully that all gives it a strong signal. Early in the video, I physically gave you my layout of my connection, so I don't want to mess with that, and that's why I went with a total separate switch. I don't want to connect these things to my current switch, which is my current physical connection. I have the edge router taking care of that, and I don't want to mess around with any of that or cause any issues. So, and since the networks are separated, they both have 2 different DHCP servers, so I'm going to run into IP conflicts and everything. So I don't want to bother with that. I'm letting it work. It's working just fine with no issues whatsoever. So this will be my communication switch between the main, which is this one right here. This is the main router, the main Google Wi-Fi router. And these are the other ones that are the backhaul, another 4 satellites. So I'm hoping these 4 satellites give additional boost to the other satellites since they have physical communications. So there should be less lag. As you saw, I had, I don't know, half the Google Wi-Fi's at a very, very weak signal, and maybe 1 or 2 of them with a okay or good, which is the best you can do. So I am getting an average. Probably most of the satellites are below okay. As you saw in the test, it has an okay in the middle. If I remember correctly, but you saw the video earlier, and I guess I'll remember it when I see it too. I do remember that most of them were okay or below to weak. And I think 4 of them were just weak. And there was only 1 or 2 that were good, which was the best. So I'm hoping to make them all good and have total communication. Like I said, my apartment, the walls have metal in the middle of them, and that causes a lot of Wi-Fi issues. That's why I have a total of 12 Google Wi-Fi's, 1 main one and 11 satellites. This really helped in the communication between the devices. So I'm hoping that this resolves a lot of the issues. That's on the switch. This will be my Google Wi-Fi backhaul switch. That's what I'm calling it. And it's 7 of them, and it's live. You see all the green lights, so I'm making physical communication. So now let me run the app and see how well it runs. I'm recording now the old, so you'll see this on the screen right now. So again, wow, you know, 1 great, out of the 12 connections or 11 connections, to say, I only have one great and more weeks. Look at that. Week 1, 2, 3, 4 weak connections. 4 week. This is barely making it. I'm going to call this week also. So let's make it 1 week, 2 week. That one's okay. 3 week, 4 week, 5 week, 6 week. So half the network is weak. I only have 1 great and 1 okay, 2 okay, 3 okay, 4 okay. So let's see how well it does now. Let me press test mesh. Okay, now you'll see the on screen or the screen recording. I am very, as you saw on the app, I am very happy with the results. I ended up connecting 8 total Wi-Fi points, and as you can see at the end, it'll tell you if it's wired. I'm filming this, so you'll get a screen. You already saw this before this video, and it does a great job as a backhaul. So all of them are connected not to the internet port, but to the Ethernet port or the switch port, or the uplink port, or whatever you want to call it, the non-internet port. So according to the instructions, Google says first set up the Wi-Fi mesh. Once everything's set up and you got everything the way you want it, that's when you start making the connections, and the Ethernet ports will act as a backhaul to connect to each other. So the main, set everything up first wirelessly and then do this. Once everything is working wirelessly, then do this, and you'll see the strength increase. So again, I went from, I forget again, what did I have, 6 weak connections to this weak signal that's far away from the main unit. It's far. It's at least about 30 feet away. And it's like 3-4 walls away. That's the problem too with the metal mesh. And I am happy with the ending results. Everything looks so much better now. What a difference than my previous test run. Everything now is almost at okay. These are wireless. But what a difference when it's wired. As you can see right there, it says wired. It's good, great, wired, great. Look at all this. That's the wireless one. Remember, this is the communication between the devices, not the Wi-Fi strength. But you saw in the details the speed you're getting between the devices. That increases your speed when you connect to it as you're moving around. And like I said, this is far away. But I'm really happy with the end result. Much better. I'm happy, my wife's happy, my kids are happy. That makes Daddy overall very, very happy. No complaints. This is excellent. So I hope you liked the video. I hope it helps. Thank you.